So, hello everybody, my name is Matt, and today I'm going to be starting off talking about something a little bit different, might be new to some of you, but we'll go through what computational chemistry is and how we can bring it to bear on solving the problem of discovering new and interesting polymer materials. So the issue with the traditional way of doing materials discovery really is speed. We're still using the same trial and error campaigns that were used to discover polymers over 100 years ago. And as you can imagine, when you try everything available to you and ultimately throw that away in the bin afterwards, it's got quite a high financial and environmental cost. And we're trying to move away from that to more sustainable forms of R&D. One of the possible alternatives is a tool called molecular dynamics, which is a form of computational chemistry that uses classical mechanics to allow atoms to move around within a system. You can see with the image on the left, if we take a series of monomers, allow them to move around and bond together, we get the polymer cube on the right. Now the cube itself is not particularly useful as it stands, but we can then do further simulations on that to determine useful polymer properties that are good for when you're screening new potential materials. Now this work looks a lot at glass transition temperature, which is why that's highlighted in red, but you can see on the left there a series of other possible properties that can come out of a molecular dynamics simulation. As an example, if we were to apply a uniaxial tension to our polymer cube, we can determine something like the Young's modulus. We can also start to use MD as a sort of atomic microscope, so allowing us to visualize what atoms are doing in the system. For example, looking at how a polymer and a solvent interact, getting an idea of things like miscibility, solubility, useful parameters for manufacturing new materials. In a more composites case, we can look to the literature and see something like a polymer and carbon nanotube simulation, which allows us to model that interface and augment that polymer to try and improve the interaction between the two components. So that's a whistle-stop tour through computational chemistry, and hopefully you can see now where the sort of advantages are in terms of speed, cost saving, and sustainability. And hopefully you're thinking, oh, this sounds quite good, but does it sound too good to be true? And there are some issues that have to be addressed, and that is what my work has been focusing upon. The first is a significant barrier to entry. When you first pick up an MD simulation tool, it can take 6 to 12 months before you can start to get meaningful results that you can trust. When you get to that stage, you've then got to worry about all of the pre-processing that can take quite a long time, even for an expert, to set up every simulation. And finally, again, in terms of time, we're trying to reduce the computational cost of doing this simulation. So my work has shown a way of using AI to accelerate the actual simulation process itself. So the first bit that my work has looked at is automating that pre-processing. And you can see with the workflow on the bottom, there's quite a lot of steps involved, and the majority of those have now been automated out. That is, things like copying and pasting and setting up text files, things that are both tedious and very error-prone, leaving us now just with the interesting bit, which is drawing the nice molecules. After that, we then look at machine learning and using a surrogate model. So to determine something like a glass transition temperature can take up to 36 hours on a supercomputer node. It's quite a considerable amount of time and cost to get that one data point. So what we've looked at is training quite a basic neural network to predict that glass transition temperature from an earlier stage of the simulation. Using around 100 polyurethane models, we've been able to achieve a pretty good accuracy of 10 to 20 Kelvin, mean absolute error on those simulations. And the main thing is reducing that runtime, getting it down to 25% of what it would be, just by allowing us to do the first stage of that simulation and skipping the longer part at the end. This is all now going out in my startup called Molydyne, as Steve was mentioning just before. And we're looking to bring computational chemistry to anybody who's interested. So trying to build a platform called Atlas that is accessible to all materials scientists. At the moment, we are saving existing computational chemists around 90% of their runtime. And in the next few months, we're looking to expand Atlas to be a total simulation solution so that you can set up, carry out, and analyze your simulations all through a web platform. So that is all from me. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, we can take some now, or come find me on my poster. Thank you.